Hey, it's your friend Choice CJ here, and I'm coming back to you guys with my team builder and battle for week 6 of the BBL. We are going up against Sparks the God, and his team is the Puffy Pachirisus. Go check out his link down in the description below. We did bounce back after a tough loss in week number 4, catching a nice dub in week number 5 versus the Flying Bird. If you missed that video, do recommend you go to my channel and to check that one out. We have a very scary matchup this game. I think it's winnable, but Sparks has a very infamous core on his team. He has the ultimate flinch core featuring Shaman Sky, Jirachi, and Togekiss, as you can see on your screen here. Let me just recite off his whole team real quick. He has Shaman Sky, Mega Blaziken, Jirachi, Hydreigon, Pachirisu, Togekiss, Swampert, Toxapex, Cofagrigus, and Avalugg. So as scary as the flinch core is, the Mega Blaziken is definitely the top tier threat. I have very limited switch-ins to that thing. And he can use it to somewhat reliably revenge kill my Arceus. It kind of depends on what sort of set he is exactly, but it's going to be very tricky to deal with for sure. Hydreigon's also kind of a threat. I don't have a great number of responses to it, but I luckily have 3 Pokemon that outspeed it. And then I have Primarina, which can deal with it fairly well, but my Primarina is hopefully going to be reserved just for Blaziken if I can help it. He has a couple of fat things that are annoying, like Toxapex and Cofag, but luckily my team is not light on wall breaking, so hopefully I can deal with that. I built this team like over a week ago and played the battle over a week ago. I'm recording this after the fact. It's been a very busy week with March Madness and everything. I did an announcement video for that on Friday, going over my team. Hopefully you got a chance to check out the stream. If you didn't, I should be doing some post-coms of my games sometime in the next week or two. I'm traveling for the next 5 days, so probably not anytime soon necessarily. But yeah, make sure you go check that out. It's a really fun tournament. We had a really fun team. But yeah, now here I am getting caught up on BBL action. So without further ado, let's go through my team. So I have an Assault Vest Ampharos, very Spadef. This is my #1 response to pretty much all of his flinch mons, because they can't T-Wave me. I'm resistant to Air Slash, resistant to Iron Head, things like that. So with Assault Vest on, I take hits pretty well. I think I even take 2 Seed Flares from a Life Orb Shaman Sky. If he gets the Spadef drop, then obviously I don't, which is kind of spooky, but like I don't really have a better response to it on my team. We have enough speed on here to outspeed Swampert, assuming that it's no speed. And then, yeah, just a couple of leftover points into special attack and stuff like that. Pretty basic set. I wish I had some way to heal this up on my team, but I don't, so that's kind of unfortunate. I also have a kind of Spadef Piloswine. We have enough attack on this thing, I think, to kill Shaman Sky after rocks with Ice Shard, assuming it's not Yachi Berry. And I think that's with the certain type of spread that I expect. He doesn't need max speed, he just needs enough speed for like a Arceus in theory. This is going to be also my switch into Togekiss, because Ampharos is pretty pressured already by the combination of Shaman especially, but also Jirachi. It's nice to have a secondary switch into something like Togekiss. And we can bomb that thing obviously pretty hard with Icicle Crash. And then Earthquake gives us something to hit Toxapex super effectively. This thing can do quite a bit of damage to like non-Focus Blast Hydreigon and things of that nature. So definitely going to be a reliable mon in this matchup. Next we have a physically defensive Primarina with Wakan Berry. This was very nearly Quillfish. The Quillfish, like I decided to bring Primarina instead just because like I felt it was a little bit better at dealing with Hydreigon than Quillfish would be. But it's kind of like I was explaining, like, hopefully Primarina in this slot is not going to be doing anything besides dealing with Blaziken. But if the need arises, I do have this for Hydreigon as well. Wakan Berry is there to take the T-Punch from Mega Blaziken. That's his best coverage move for hitting both Quillfish and Primarina. And then Psychic is there. You know, we obviously have the dual stabs. We have Psychic there for Toxapex, and then Toxic just to hit anything else like Swampert that would otherwise want to switch in. So pretty straightforward spread. We do have a Rocky Helmet Garchomp with Endure. So like I was saying, Primarina might come into a situation where it's pressured to switch into Hydreigon. And so if that was the case, I wanted something else that can kind of deal with Blaziken to an extent. So Rocky Helmet with Endure is going to help us do that quite a bit, because we can do a tremendous amount of damage to it with Rocky Helmet plus Rough Skin. Do that twice. I think it does like 60% or so, maybe slightly more than that. We don't really take high jump kicks from like an Adamant Mega Blaziken, which he is somewhat free to run because of speed boost and things like that. But anyway, in addition to that, we do have SD plus Edgequake. Just because Garchomp does have a pretty good matchup versus the team, I wanted to bring like an SD Z move set, but I felt more pressure by the Rocky Helmet. Maybe I should have invested a little bit more defense in this thing. But yeah, that's the thought process with the Garchomp. Is still scary sweeper, but has a little bit of a backup function versus Blaziken should my Primarina get too weakened. Then we have a double stab priority baton pass Mega Medicham. This is useful for, again, luring in something like Kofag, just as I've done in previous weeks where I lure in the Psychic or Ghost type, and then that sets me up pretty nicely to go into a Calm Mind Arceus. This time I'm packing Substitute with Judgment into Ice Beam. I don't have a super effective move for hitting Blaziken, but if I get boosted, I've got a good shot of 2-hit KOing, and if I get it in range of a +1 Judgment with like my Rocky Helmet Chomp anyway, then that's totally fine. That works enough for me. So that's the team. Now let's hop on into the battle. Alright, so here's the battle. Sparks has decided to bring his Shaman Sky, his Toxapex, his Cofagrigus, Shaman, Mega Blaziken, and Togekiss. So no Jirachi is pretty nice for me, just because Jirachi is a little bit scary. It takes a little bit of the pressure off of Ampharos. I can use Ampharos pretty much just for Shaman, and Piloswine for Togekiss. And then I can deal with his main offensive threats otherwise, which is pretty much just Blaziken. Like, Swampert's a little bit annoying for me, not necessarily offensively. Like, I don't switch into it very well, but like, I'm not expecting an offensively invested Swampert, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Toxapex is a little annoying, but I have 3 super effective stab moves for hitting it. Sorry, 4 super effective stab moves for hitting it, so I'm not that worried about it. And then Kofag, in theory, is just bait for Arceus. Even if he goes for, like, Will-O-Wisp or something, like, maybe he could have Toxic, but, like, Wisp just makes a tiny bit more sense because it's more punishing to Medicham. And so, with that in mind, I am going to lead with my Medicham. Like, if he wants to lead with, like, his Toxapex or his Swampert or something, or even Togekiss, like, the first 2 would make sense as, like, maybe early hazard setters. And Togekiss just, like, it could kind of be a lead matchup. I'm not expecting Blaziken or Shaman Sky to lead. He could also lead with like his Kofag or something. Like, Medicham I think does okay with all of those except for Kofag, but then obviously, like I said, I should be able to baton pass pretty freely out of that into my Arceus and be able to take on his Kofag that way. So that's the lead that I'm going to choose. We're going to click play, wish good luck, have fun to Sparks, and see just how this battle goes. So just like the team builder, it's been about a week since I've played this battle, so I'm going to do my best to remember all the turns as they go. We'll have to see. I should have watched this battle probably once before I did this recording. But it's like 10 p.m. and I don't have time for that. Or at least I won't make time for that. So he leads off with his Shaman Sky, which was definitely one of the matchups that's not very good for me. But he decides to go hard on into his Cofagrigus. And I don't want to stay in versus the Skyman, so I go into my Skyman check, which is the Ampharos. And so I can pretty easily Volt Switch on this thing, and then I'm just going to go right on into my Arceus. That was kind of my plan as I explained, because I can threaten this thing. He'll probably switch out versus me, and I can potentially set up a substitute. And this Kofag goes for Toxic Spikes, and this is bad. This is like capital B-A-D bad for me. None of my Pokemon have recovery. All of my Pokemon are grounded. I don't have Heatran. I don't have like any of my Steel types. I don't have Quillfish to absorb the Toxic Spikes, so this punishes my team super hard. It makes me really sad that I didn't bring Quillfish. I put the Primarina in that slot instead of the Quillfish. So I'm definitely going to pay for that. He goes hard on into his Blaziken. A little bit of aggressive play for my taste, but there's not a whole lot that I can do to this Blaziken. I throw off the sub, and, expecting him to go into something else, and I thought maybe I could Calm Mind up, or get up at least one Calm Mind and then threaten quite a bit. It's not going to end up happening. I throw off one Judgment, If I had just clicked Judgment straight off the bat, that would have been a little bit better, because then I could have doubled into, or switched out into like my Garchomp. He said he's going to break my sub with the Blaze Kick. I'm like, oh, Blaze Kick. I actually had to look up what type of move that was. Like, I didn't know if it was fighting or fire. But anyway, I now switch on into my Garchomp, because I know I could do a decent bit with Rough Skin, Rocky Helmet. And he's going to throw off this high jump kick, and I do not take that very well at all. So, in hindsight, this was an offensive Garchomp. It was meant to be, very offensive. Maybe I should have, instead of going so far on the offense, put a little bit of extra into defense so I could take that a little bit better. But the Toxic Spike is what really puts me in there. It causes me to die straight up there. So now this Blaziken is coming in. Premier is coming in versus this Blaziken. This was a really bad play on my part. This was the freest Psychic in the world, and I instead choke and I go for Moonblast. Obviously, that would have killed the Blaziken for the range of HP that it was at, and it would have done a little bit more to this Toxic Spike. Not a ton, probably like 35-ish%. Not enough to put a big dent into it, but maybe I could force it to go for Recover instead of Scald or a Gunk Shot. I am going to switch on out into my Medicham, because I don't really have anything that wants to switch into the Poison type move. He does just throw off the Scald. I was a little bit worried for a second about getting burned there, but then of course I remember the stupid Toxic Spikes. And I do believe I throw off the Zen Headbutt here. In hindsight, maybe going for a Psycho Cut instead of Zen Headbutt would have been good, because as I recently learned in TT and March Madness, Psycho Cut is not a contact move, and so it's not affected by Mummy, which means I keep my PR power on my Medicham, which would have been much, much better. But as played, the Zen Headbutt wouldn't do anything. I guess that's why I decided Baton Pass here, because I thought he would be able to come in here, and I want to be able to threaten this thing a little bit. And so I break in my Arceus, because once again, that's kind of like my main mon for threatening this Kofag. I don't remember if I throw off a Judgment or an Ice Beam, or if I click Calm Mind here. I think actually my play was Calm Mind. Because at this point, sub doesn't make any sense. I do 25% HP, and then I take another 12% from the Toxic Spike, so that's definitely not good. So I do go for the Calm Mind, because this allowed me to two-shot this Togekiss. And if you wanted to go hard Blaziken again, unless he has Protect on that thing, I would be able to kill it with a Judgment, so that would be pretty nice. But yeah, going Togekiss instead. That's kind of the play that I thought he'd make the first time. But I do throw off this Ice Beam and get a crit, which is nice, but it was going to be a 2-hit KO anyway, as you guys could see. And then I'm able to live the Dazzling Gleam. I guess the one way where it is kind of nice is that I can afford to just throw off a Judgment here instead of clicking Ice Beam again. He could potentially have predicted the Ice Beam and gone into something else to take the hit a little bit better. But yeah, getting the Judgment off is pretty free. And we're going to be able to take out that Togekiss with another crit, which is hilarious. But that's going to come at the price of our Arceus. So that's going to go down. We are down Arceus and we are down Garchomp. So like our two scariest Pokemon, I would say, on the team are gone. We do still have our Medicham, which is a pretty scary mon. He's going to switch on into his Medi as I bring, or sorry, his Purdy as I go into my Medi. I'm just gonna throw off the Zen versus this thing, because I thought that he would be bringing in the what do you call it, the Kofag, and so that's my best way to hit that thing relatively hard. You can see that it's a 2-hit KO on this Swampert, which is pretty nice. It does look pretty physically bulky. He's going to be able to get up his rocks, which is a little annoying, but versus like Primarina, Ampharos, Piloswine, it's not going to be the end of the world. So I got to throw off another Zen as he now goes into his Kofag, and he dodges, so even if we landed it, it wouldn't have really mattered that much. Because, sorry, if we landed it, it wouldn't have mattered that much, because then he would have gotten off the Mummy on me for the reasons I explained earlier. But then we're going to throw off that Zen, try and get off as much damage on this thing as possible. Because, like, what do I have to switch into this? Like, and if I switch to my Prim, if I switch to my Piloswine or my Ampharos, I'm just going to get poisoned on those things, and so I don't want to take that initial turn of poison if I can help it. He just goes for a Hex. Hex plus T-Spikes was a really freaking good strat versus me. I can't believe I didn't see that coming. Big shoutouts to Spark for identifying a huge weakness to my team. But now I'm going to go Ampharos because I don't really have anything else to potentially switch into to this one here. I'm going to throw off the T-Bolt. gonna get the para, and I'm like, oh, am I gonna get a para, full para? And no, of course, he throws off the Hex. So that's a major bummer. But I can't like hope too much for hacks every single turn. It doesn't do that much damage to me. Honestly, the fact that I take all these extra poison turns is more annoying. So I'm gonna throw off the T-Bolt and take out this Kofag. For him, it makes sense. Like, Kofag's done its job. It got up the T-Spikes and it beat Metacham. So there wasn't really much else that I could do, or that the Kofag could do versus me. But now he's going to go into his Pert, which is at around 55% HP. If he doesn't have much SPDEF investment, this has a really good chance to kill. I think versus like a 0 investment, it should kill. But he showed me his spreads after the game. He had just a little bit of SPDEF investment, enough to live there. Maybe with a better roll, we could have killed. But we weren't able to pull that off. So yeah, he's going to get off a big Earth Power versus me, and that in combination with the T-Spikes is going to be able to polish me off. So now I go into Piloswine. The game's not completely over here yet. We have a little bit of a chance. So here's what's going to happen here. We're going to be able to throw off an Ice Shard versus this Swampert and take it out. And then he's going to go into his Shaman Sky in here in just a second here. And so his way to 100% guarantee knock me out is to click Seed Flare. If we somehow dodge the Seed Flare and then follow up with an Icicle Crash, that into Ice Shard should be able to kill. And then from there, he would go into his Blaziken, which can take out my my Piloswine, but the Blaziken cannot take out my Primarina in one hit. I can go for Scald, and then I forget what that leaves his last Mon as. He has, his Togekiss is gone, his Blaziken would be gone, Pert, Kofag, so just his Toxapex. So yeah, I guess we'd have a little bit of a hard time beating Toxapex. That's like the only thing. Maybe if instead of sacking the Piloswine versus the Blaziken that comes in after the Shaman, I could have gone hard into Primarina and lived like a HJK plus a Thunder Punch. I might not even be able to live 2 HJKs, to be honest, with the poison damage. But then if I do that, then I could potentially have saved my Pylo for taking on the Toxapex. So, like, it really all depended, like I said, on the miss there, and then a couple of kind of lucky turns after that, just surviving on the skin of our teeth versus, like, Blaziken. But it wasn't meant to be, and we're going to end up with a 3-0 loss. So, like, I really got to tip my hat to Sparks here. Brought a very, very good strat, particularly versus the team that I brought. I do have countermeasures for toxic spikes on my team. I've got 2 steel types. I've got a grounded poison type. I have 2 flying types, one of which is a magic bouncer. It's not like my team in general is super weak to toxic spikes, but I do in general don't like to bring hazard removal. And he must have identified, sort of based on team matchup, that I wasn't going to be bringing many of those mons that I described. Like Heat Tran, I think, was fairly likely for dealing with Skyman and for dealing with Togekiss. So at least 1 mon would be immune, but like the rest, like even if it hits 5 out of 6 mons or 4 out of 6 mons, that's pretty solid. Really good prep there, and by the time like he got that T-Spike up on turn 2, like, it was almost GG just at that point. Yeah, next week we're going to have to bounce back. We're going up against Perfect Blue and his San Diego State Azelfs. And that team is really freaking scary. It's got Groudon plus Charizard X plus Tapu Bulu plus Victory Bell. So it's basically like a grassy terrain Sun team. That's really, really spooky. Like freaking Zardax and Sun just like scares me so bad. That thing hits so hard. So that's going to be a tough matchup. We're going to do our best to get that one after losing this one. And if we can win that one, it puts us in a really safe spot for playoffs. But, I just got to take it one game at a time and not even think too much about playoffs yet. So, anyway, that's going to do it for me. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you please leave a like and drop a sub. That way you can stay up to date on all my latest and greatest Pokemon and gaming content. So until the next time, I will see you guys later.